believe Buffalo is going to win it, folks.
Kick your heels up and shout.
We've seen why the Buffalo Bills are en route to the playoffs.
Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout.
Buffalo Bills go undefeated. And we're going to the Super Bowl.
Right now, baby. Come on, come on.
No one
Come on
circles the
and
wagon
shout.
like the Buffalo Bills.
All right, we are live, and we are back. Welcome to another episode of the Overdue Bills podcast. And we're excited today. We're definitely excited today. Got a great show for you, action-packed show, as they say. Got a game coming up Thursday. Started the NFL football season. And I got the guys with me, man. You see them, our guy. Matt, aka Matty Ice, aka Blurry Matt. Matt, what's up, man?
Nothing much, man. It's game week. I'm pumped to be back. I'm pumped to, it's just got a couple more sleeps till we got the kickoff, so I'm excited, man.
Absolutely. And you see him, our guy Rad, aka All Purpose Rad. Rad, what's up, man?
What's good, bro? We here, right? We here, man. Week 1. This is it, man. We kind of thought it was taking long, but it's got here fast. So we're here. I'm ready to talk football. Let's go.
Right, definitely. Week 1 came by fast, man. Like we're actually here a couple of days away. But listen, we got to get into the show, man. We got an action-packed show. And before we get into the show, Matt, can you please let the people know who is responsible for this broadcast?
Yes, this show and every other show is brought to you by the good people at Buffalo Wing Kings. There's two things the guys of the Overdue Bills podcast know. That's Bills football and that's wings. Our first choice and the best choice is Buffalo Wing Kings. Hit up Wing Kings for your game day needs, parties, any situation that requires some wings. Hit up our guys at Buffalo Wing Kings. Stop down to 484 Elmwood Avenue or give them a call at 716-248-1427. Find out why they say, and we know they got the best wings in town, hands down. And make sure you mention the Overdue Bills podcast, get 10% off your order. And if you're not feeling like stopping down there, hit up Uber Eats or DoorDash. They're on there as well.
Absolutely. Shout out to everybody coming on. I just want to let you know a little bit of housekeeping. OverdueBillsPod.com. OverdueBillsPod.com. That's the website. You can find all of our media. Anything you want to find out about us, our merch, please go to Overdue Bills Pod. Get the merch. It's waiting for you. You know what I'm saying? It's not gonna be waiting for long because it's going off the shelf right now. We getting calls right now. People calling us. The season starting. It's about to get crazy, y'all. I'm just letting y'all know now. So please get your merch. Shout out to Buffalo fan base. Please like, share, rate, and review. Follow us. Subscribe to our channels. Overdue Bills, Buffalo fan base. All of those amazing things. Please do that so we can, hit the algorithm so everybody can see the episode. All right. With that being said, let's get into the show. We got a huge show today. Game Thursday. Quick question of the day. And there's been a lot of talk, right, about the Buffalo Bills. And we're going to get into a couple questions. There's been a lot of talk about the Bills on a lot of publications, national publications. So I wanted to ask the question. Can both of you, and especially everybody in the comments, can you name a time where the Bills met your expectation? Right. They actually met there's a lot of expectation on the Bills coming into this season. And can you think of your history as a Bills fan? It was the beginning of the season. All right, this was the expectation for the Bills. Realistically, a realistic expectation. And they met it. They met it. Matt, I'm gonna go to you first.
So I'm gonna go to the playoffs last year.
Okay.
The first playoff game against New England. You know what I mean? We came in, we were the better team. And, it showed up. We had a perfect game. You were at home, super cold out, but the Bills were the more dominant team, and they came out and they showed out. So that was an easy betting day for me to bet on the Bills. And, we advanced pretty much with ease that game. So that was one that I could think of most recently.
Rad, can you think of a time where the Bills met your expectation?
Not only can I think of it's like they exceeded my expectations. Not last year, 2 years ago, we made it to the AFC Championship game. They exceeded everything that I could have thought. I wanted us to be a playoff team. I want us to first. I want us to win a division. We won a division. Then I wanted to win the playoff game. We won a playoff game. That was 2 years ago. That was my expectations of the Bills, and they exceeded it. Josh Allen played out of his mind in that playoffs, and we went up against the Rams. I mean, we went up against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs, was a better team. Patrick Mahomes was doing what he had to do, but they exceeded my expectations 2 years ago. So, yeah, so the last few years they've been going right up to my expectations, if not more. But 2 years ago they exceeded it. So,
interesting. I would say, I guess I can use a near example since everybody use examples kind of close to us. I think it was either 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago when we played the Dallas Cowboys on
Thanksgiving.
I think that like it got to a point where it's like, okay, we're a good team, and if we're a good team, I believe we're a good team. We're gonna win this game. Like, these are the games you win. You win the games like that. And we actually came out. We played amazing against the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. That was a real turning point, I think, in our franchise. Kind of winning that game against that team. So that was one in particular. But let me read this. Ed Jackson says McDermott came in saying we were going to be a playoff caliber team. They have met that expectation. Now they have risen. Absolutely. And that's really I want to get to. I kind of want to get to that. That's where we're going to pitch our tent, because I've been looking at NFL Today. I've been looking at ESPN. I've been looking at all of these publications, and majority of them, not only are saying we're gonna beat the Rams Thursday, right? Not only are we favored to do that, but we're Super Bowl favorites. Like, that's all you've been seeing. If you go down anybody's timeline, just everybody, right? You see, we're Super Bowl favorites. We're Super Bowl favorites. So I wanted to ask that question about expectation, because I wanted to shift and kind of ask the guys, what is one thing you think people are looking at from the Buffalo Bills to say that we're Super Bowl favorites, right? Can you name like one thing that, okay, this is why they're saying that? And if you're in the comments, please let us know. If you're in the comments, please let us know how you feel about it. But Matt, I'm gonna go to you first. Matt, can you point out one thing where you can say, all right, this is exactly why they're saying we're Super Bowl favorites?
So I'm gonna, I had a conversation over the weekend with one of my guys, OJ. Shout out to OJ. We were talking about, this is a year we're coming in heavily favored, right? Mm-hmm. And he was saying, but is it going to be enough to when we get there? Are we going to be, able to live into the moment? And I think last year, losing the way that we did at the point in the season that we did, I think that is going to be what's going to get us over the hump to finish it all this year, because everybody that was on that team last year is going to be going through it. They're going to be on this team this year. Got a couple new faces, couple of young guys, but they all knew how that felt, and they don't want to be there again. They want to be the ones to get over the hump and get that Super Bowl win. So I think that's the factor for me.
Right. So everybody, and obviously we know last year was a heartbreaker. I know. Shout out to my cousin Ed. He's in the comments. We was at his house, and it literally like it's crazy. We left the house. He didn't even know we left. Like, that's how like despondent he was. But but the point is, so Matt is saying, like, people saw what happened last year. We saw the amazing performance we had, and that is going to drive us, and that's what people are looking at. Rad, one thing you can point out to say this is why people are putting this level of expectation on the Bills and yourself.
Well, if you want me to answer one question, the one answer is it's got to be Josh Allen.
Call spade.
It got to be Josh Allen. Josh Allen is ascending. We see the other quarterbacks that, the prima donna cornerbacks, the Patrick Mahomes of the world, the Justin Herberts. It was Aaron Rodgers and the Tom Brady's of the world. And if you're trying to project forward, you see Josh Allen, what he's able to do, not with his arm, but with his feet, his tenacity, his dominant, how he plays the game, how he willed us to some victories, how he's become larger than life in Buffalo in some aspect. But if I want to throw in some more stuff into the soup, is obviously I think our consistency. McDermott came in and changed our culture. We just been a consistent team, right? We're coming in, we've been winning our division. We've been doing what we're supposed to be doing. We didn't get over the big hump. We didn't get to the big game yet, but as far as consistency, the last five since McDermott been here, we've been a consistent team. Our defense has been a consistent part of our identity, and I think that our consistency mixed with generational talent at quarterback. I mean, in a one of the easier divisions in football, I think that that's the recipe for a Super Bowl contender. And I think we added Von Miller. Let's be real. So I think all those things makes us definitely a favorite. Compile with all the other teams. All the other teams kind of lessened themselves in some way. I think we made the biggest splash and we stayed the most consistent. So I think that's why.
I'll say this. Shout out to the comments. Dominant defensive line for sure. And I see another Josh Allen out there. But for me, I think that it's obviously Josh Allen goes without saying. That's numero uno. But I think that when people look at the Bills and myself, I see the progression in our players, right? Josh Allen being one of them. He has gotten exponentially better over time, right? Like he's a dog. He's a top 5 quarterback considered, not just us, but his peers consider him a top 5 quarterback in his league, right? That wasn't to be said even probably 2 years ago. So he's gotten better. When you look at guys like a Gabe Davis, right? He has gotten better over time. Offensive line players, you go through them all. They've gotten better. Spencer Brown, Mitch Wards, like you can just call a roll. Especially even, when we talk about it, Edmonds has gotten better. Matt Milano has gotten better. Like these players are not the same. They're not necessarily the greatest players in the world, but they have gotten better incrementally. Our safeties, Trey White, even though he gets hurt, Poyer High, like they've gotten better to where they're all pros, blue chippers, some people consider. So I think the progression of our players, people see that and say, this is the next step. This is the next step. It is Super Bowl or bust. So, I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things. I did want to talk about that because it's a lot of talk about the Bills. I know last year we refer to ourselves, especially in Buffalo, as blue-collar workers, right? We work hard. We hit the pavement. You know what I'm saying? We put in those 40 hours a week. But right now we're sitting in a pretty position where everybody is looking at us as the best team in the league. So, I mean, it remains to be seen. You know what I mean? So,
I got another one we just said before we move on. We got to show love to Brandon Beane. How he drafted, right? Because we went from if I don't know how y'all felt about Whaley, but we went from a Whaley to Brandon Beane. Show you the difference when you draft guys, you develop guys, you keep guys, right? The Trey Whites of the world, the Josh Allen draft, the Edmonds, the Milanos. We can keep going Singletary. We can keep going about all the people that he's drafted, and they still here and they still putting in work.
Yeah.
And we still got people like Rousseau and like the people that's coming up now. So Elam. So all those guys he drafted, his way to be consistent there. 3rd, 4th, 5th rounders. I mean, and they still hitting. And our team is built with our team is built through the draft. We got obviously the Diggs of the world and the Von Millers of the world, but we a drafted team over here. So.
Absolutely. And so where we wanted to go from here, just a little bit of preliminaries. Matt, shout out to our guy Matt on the website. He did his prediction of his 53-man roster, pretty much spot on. Balen Spector, a guy that Matt consistently talked about throughout the preseason, made the team. Shout out to our guys Raheem Blackshear and Isaiah Hodgins. They didn't make the team. They got a lot of love on this pod, but they were assigned to the practice squad. So shout out to them. Matt, did you want to talk about any notable people that kind of made the 53-man roster besides Balen Spector, or you want to talk about him?
Well, I mean, it really wasn't. I tried to throw a splash in there and say Mike Love, was going to make it over Epineza, but he's keeping Epineza around, and hopefully he contributes this year, and that takes away from that because I believe Mike Love got snatched up right away when he didn't clear waivers, so he was a guy that ended up going somewhere else. Isaiah Hodgins, they're on the practice squad. So that was when I had on and Kumaro off. But, like we talked about with the special teams, a guy like Kumaro stayed around for a little bit. So that's going to be subject to change, I believe, throughout the year. But nothing really else notable for me.
Okay. So let's do this. We're going to get into the Bills versus Rams preview, right? We're going to get into that. That's going to be the bulk of the show. But what I want to do is we have to talk about our Bills on the Move segment, but we're dealing specifically today with our injury report just to kind of go over it. Understand that Trey White is on the PUP list. So obviously he will not be playing. Tommy Doyle, offensive line, did not practice. Isaiah McKenzie was a full participant. There was some trepidation on whether or not he will play, but he's a full participant in practice. Quentin Morris, hamstring, did not practice. Jordan Poyer was full participant in practice, and Tim Settle was full participant. So just for clarity, pretty much all the dogs will be there. All right, everybody that we're counting on to play, obviously besides Trey White, will be there. All right, so just a quick update on that so everybody can be abreast of what's going on. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty, y'all. Bills versus Rams, man. It's here. Thursday night, first game of the season. Listen, it's gonna be crazy. So I kind of want to frame it this way. Let's just get right down to the questions, right? Sean McDermott came out today. Sources have said Sean McDermott came out today. He talked about it publicly. People were kind of trying to figure out what are we going to do with the cornerback situation. We talked about on last week's show that Brandon Beane, it was reported he has $2.5 million in cap space. He's been restructuring, doing a lot of things with the salary cap. He has $2.5 million. He hasn't done anything yet. We saw in the preseason that our cornerbacks was not necessarily up to speed. We have rookies, Christian Benford, Kyer Elam, Dane Jackson. So the question is, what are you going to do? Sean McDermott said he's going to play both Elam and Benford. They're going to be in the game, right? Yeah. So I want to go to Matt. We understand Cooper Kupp, Allen Robinson, Matt Stafford. I think Van Jefferson. Anybody knows Van Jefferson playing, or is he still out?
I think he's still out.
Is he still out? Okay.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that in a second.
Rams guys.
That would be. I'm gonna say that in a second. So Matt, how do you feel about Sean McDermott's approach to our cornerbacks and going into this game, knowing that Cooper Kupp is a legit problem?
Well, like they released a depth chart. Dane Jackson is the number one on the depth chart, right? So Elam and Benford are going to split time in that other cornerback position is what I'm kind of gathering from them releasing that depth chart and what Sean McDermott and Leslie Frazier have said to the media. Right. So with that being said, it is scary, but at the same time, like you said, a big name, he's back full participant at practice. Even though they didn't get a contract done, we still do have the best safety duo in the league, right? So I believe they're going to weigh heavily on those guys for support with the young cornerbacks. And then we also, Rad alluded to Von Miller earlier, right? So our defensive line is going to get home, I think, a little faster, which will relieve some pressure from the young cornerbacks in this game. So I don't know how. Yep, go ahead.
So Rad, what are you looking for out of those young guys, right? Like we drafted Kyer Elam to be that guy, right? I understand he's a rookie, but he was drafted to be one of those guys, right? Yeah. Let's be clear about it. So I'm asking you, right? Like, what is your expectation of Kyer Elam? What is your expectation of Christian Benford? And even, I guess, the defense as a whole and kind of Leslie Frazier's package against this vaunted Rams offense?
I mean, I think our cornerback, I might say the easiest job on our defense, but I think they're not asked to do a lot. They're not asked to travel. They're not asked to do too much. So I think, they ask to tackle. I mean, I think the biggest thing is tackle, get, bend, don't break type of defense where the yard in between the 20s is not, I'm not saying we're just giving them up, but we're not necessarily, we're trying to tackle when they get to the red zone. We're trying to shore up our defense. We're trying to tackle. We're trying to put everything in the middle. So I think as long as we're doing that, as long as we're not giving up these big plays, these chunk plays to the Cooper Kupps of the world, to Allen Robinson, like you said, and if our run defense can improve, I think we'll be fine. Now, we're going to give up some points. More than likely, we're going to give up some yards. But them big plays where, 200, 80-yard catch from Kupp, those type of big plays, we can't give up those things. But I think our cornerbacks aren't asked to do the most, as long as we cover. Obviously, looking at last year in the playoffs against a Tyreek Hill, we not Cooper Kupp is fast and shifty. He's not Tyreek Hill fast, but he's good. He's good and good against zone. He's good against everything. So I think if we short tackle, not give up them huge plays, I think we'll be fine.
So is it a situation where, and if you can answer this in the comments, are we looking for bend but don't break, or are we looking for let's just not allow big plays? Right? Let's we're not gonna throw a lot at our cornerbacks. Because you know what I'm saying? Is it a situation? All right, just keep everything in front of you. Make the tackle and allow our defensive line to kind of make a play. Von Miller, you know what I'm saying? Our safety to kind of make a play. How do you feel, Riley, about that?
I don't want, because Elam's young, he's aggressive, he's confident, he wants to show that he was worth the pick. He felt like he was even better than when he was drafted at, right? So you don't want that to come off as him thinking he got to make a play, him thinking he got to be a superhero out there, him thinking oh, the cornerback room is the weak spot on the defense, so let me show everybody that we're not. We don't need that type of. I think our scheme, I think Leslie Frazier, McDermott's scheme has been working for us for the last so years. I think if he play his role, do what he's supposed to do, understand what he's supposed to do, and not try to make a superhero play, not trying to, no yards give up no yards. I mean, just make tackles, be where you're supposed to be, know your role, know the zones we're gonna play. I think we'll be fine. So I'm not expecting him to be all world, but also I want him to just get his reps at playing against an all-pro level receiver. Even Allen Robinson is a stud, right? He had an off year. So just getting your reps against all-pro level receivers, how it feels to play in the NFL. Both of those guys, Benford and Elam, as long as they come with their confidence not broken and make good plays and consistent plays, I think we'd be fine.
And this is, I'm glad. Listen, shout out to the comments. Comments is going crazy. Josh, you know me. I don't mind calling anybody terrible. And I guarantee you, listen, y'all know me. After the first week, I'm gonna give it up. So listen,
first week, you'll be in the group chat the first 5 minutes.
Absolutely. First play,
the first catch that Elam is gonna give up, the group chat's gonna flood. This is terrible. Season's over.
First 5 minutes of the game. Shout out to my brother. I think he's just getting on a flight right now. He going to LA. I'm upset that I can't go, but I'm gonna definitely call him and just listen, scream out for me, you trash. But anyways. In the comments, a lot of people are talking about our linebackers and our defensive line. E talked about it. John talked about it. So this is my thing. Here's the thing, right? We've been talking about this dominant defensive line. Von Miller, Tim Settle, Phillips. Obviously, we paid Matt Milano. Edmonds is 5th year. He's trying to end the contract. I think this is a statement game for them, right? Because a lot of the talk will be about Aaron Donald, and we're going to talk about him in a minute, y'all. But this is, I think for me, I'm looking at the defensive line as well, because we've been hearing about it so much, but it's put up or shut up time, right? We've heard throughout the preseason that Matt Stafford has a bum elbow or something wrong with his elbow. Let's put a hat on him. And not even to mention, we've had issues with the running game, stopping the running game. Von Miller is supposed to be a great run stopper on the defensive line, right? So, I want to go to you, Matt. Matt, is this a situation? Is this a defensive line game, right? Do they have to step up to the max? How do you feel about that?
Definitely. I mean, just like I said, they got to get home to kind of relieve some pressure off of these young corners. To be able to build that confidence. Hey, I only got to stick with these guys for a couple seconds because my guys are going to get home. So that if I can do that, we're in good shape, right? So it's definitely going to be a defensive line game. We have a bunch of new players in some spots, and then we have, like you said, we have guys that are, in our Ed Oliver, who's in a contract year, and Greg Rousseau, who was the #1 rated rookie end in run support right last year. So we got guys like that on this defensive line. You pair them with a Tim Settle and Daquan Jones that we signed over the offseason, and Jordan Phillips to beef up that defensive line, right, to shore up that run game and then to get home. So this is definitely a really important showcase for the D line to show that they are improvements and not just on paper.
And let me say this. Shout out to everybody here. Tomorrow at 6:30. We got an op. We got an op from the Rams. Listen, I'm gonna just call it spade a spade. We got an op from the Rams coming on. Now, shout out to him. He's coming on the show. We have an interview. We have an interview / preview of the Bills versus Rams game. And that we're gonna go in depth, right? We're gonna go in depth with the Rams team. We're gonna hit our over and unders, see where we're at there. So we're not gonna necessarily hit all the numbers today. But tomorrow at 6:30 Tuesday, promptly, please be here. We're going to have an interview with one of our ops from the Rams. Shout out to him. Now we're going to interview him. It's all love. It's all love. But I wanted to ask you, Rad, real quickly about the defensive line. I know we're going to get into the numbers tomorrow, but let me ask y'all this. And everybody in the comments, let me just see a yes or no. If Friday we look at the box score and we do not have a sack, what do you say to that, Rad?
Yeah, that'd be disappointing, right? I think we put a lot of, because it's tough, right? It would be I expect us at least a sack, multiple sacks. Von Miller, we put a lot of, a lot of money and just resources in the D line, right? And sacks is not the overall indicator, but it's a huge indicator of how we played, how our pressures was, just how we and it tells you maybe how we helped out our cornerbacks, our young cornerbacks, this week. So I think having no sacks against a non-mobile quarterback and like a Stafford who's quote unquote I guess not the healthiest right now. With I guess both running backs was kind of banged up, both coming back. So I think we definitely should get home a few times. I'm thinking at least 2 to 3 sacks.
Now, when you say no sacks, is that no sacks from the defensive line or as a defensive as a unit, Sam?
I'm glad you asked that because we, according to everybody, right, we have this dominant 7, right? You have this dominant defensive line, great ends, D tackles, the whole 9. So is it a situation like if Leslie Frazier has to manufacture pressure by blitzing Teron Johnson, by blitzing linebackers and doing all this, you know what I mean, stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, is that a good thing? I don't know. I mean, granted, I'm not a defensive coordinator. I'm just asking.
Yeah. Like, so
how you feel?
I think he does a lot of that, though. He does send a guy, we saw it like in the we saw it in every preseason game where he sends a guy like a Cam Lewis or who would be a Teron Johnson or Jordan Poyer. Jordan Poyer did that a lot last season. Milano did that a lot last season. So I don't know if it would necessarily be super disappointing if the defensive line didn't come up with a sack, but to have no sacks as a unit, that would definitely be crazy, I think, in this game.
But yeah, I don't think it would be disappointing, but I definitely prefer the D line because that means you be getting home before no more than 5 rushers, right?
Yeah.
You have 6 people back there, 7 to 6 people in the back end against the Cooper Kupp and the Allen Robinsons. Who is they tight end? Is it Gerald Everett?
Gerald Everett and Higbee, right? Higbee's coming back up.
Higbee or something. I think it's Higbee. Yeah, Higbee. I don't think Everett is somewhere else.
It's Higbee.
Everett is in Chargers.
Yeah.
So I think it's Higbee. So those guys, I think that play action pass, if we're confident with our 4 to 5 guys going, that play action pass that the Rams love doing can be nullified, and then we don't got to react by sending more and more pressure when they do pass. So I think I want the D line to dominate. I want Von Miller, Russo to have multiple sacks.
For sure. And on paper, we shouldn't have to rush more than those 4, at least is what I'm looking at. Then it'll help.
And Oliver got to show him that.
Right? Exactly.
Ed got to be dominant. We want Ed to be dominant. Come on, Ed.
Shout out to Ed Oliver. I was definitely tough on you last year. And listen, we see that certain things come to fruition. I was tough on Ed Oliver, and Oliver played better. Go figure, right? Things like that tend to happen. But listen, we spend a lot of time on the defense. We got to go to the other side of the ball. And here's how I wanted to approach this. Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey, right? We know this is the Rams formula. For whatever reason, they have 3 Hall of Famers, you know what I'm saying, on their defense. You know what I'm saying? People we have to pay attention to, right? Yep. Bobby Wagner, 3rd in tackles last year. You know what I mean? Hopefully Edmund's taking notes. But anyways, 3rd in tackles last year. Aaron Donald, quote unquote, pound for pound, best defensive tackle to ever play the game of football. Jalen Ramsey, pound for pound. Some people might suggest top 10 cornerback of all time. I don't know. Listen, so my question is to you, Rad. We got a new offensive coordinator in Ken Dorsey, right? And Ken Dorsey even said today, sources have said, he said today that basically from what I got from his James Cook kind of rendition was James Cook will not see a lot of playing time. That's kind of the kind of, you know what I mean? That's what I deduced from what he said. He basically said, we'll see how the game flows to see where James Cook fits in. AKA, he might not get a lot of playing time. So what I want to ask you, Rad, just schematically, right? Schematically. 1, how do you feel about our offensive line against Aaron Donald? You know what I mean? And 2, what do you think Ken Dorsey is going to do? You know what I'm saying? As far as his scheme, right? Are we trying to get the ball out quick? We know the Rams play a lot of zone. Like, how do you think that he's going to tackle it? Because we know what Brian Dable will do. He'll air the ball out.
I think we're gonna. It's not gonna be. It's a little different approach, right? Because we used to cover 2 shells. We used to like teams playing 2 high safeties against us. I think our running game is gonna be more of a weapon this year. Right, it's gonna be more of a weapon. I'm not gonna say we're just gonna become a running team or it's gonna be run first or anything of that sort. But I think it's gonna be more of a weapon. I think Singletary is gonna be the back, He's going to be a three. Singletary is a 3-down back, I think, this year. I think James Cook going to come in obvious passing situations maybe, but I think it's definitely Singletary's job all the way. And I think we're going to try to run the ball more often so we can be a more of a play action team, more of a non-predictable. We don't want Aaron Donald teeing off against us every play. It's just not something we want. It's not something, you don't want to put Josh through, but Josh is the type that, to get out of it. But I think the running game is going to be more of a factor this year in general, and I think this game.
So Matt, let's get to it, right? We have him. His name is Josh Allen. How do you think Josh Allen should? Shout out to my sources. How do you think Josh Allen should approach this game, right? Because let me frame this. His last game, he was utterly amazing. He literally changed rules in football, literally, he did. So. How do you think, is it a situation? Do you think we're going to get, I want to use the word hyperventilating Josh Allen, but happy Josh Allen? He can get happy sometimes. What Josh Allen do you think we're going to get, so to speak?
I think Josh is the kind of dude that we're just going to get the same guy. I don't think he's going to come in too, overzealous or, anything in that, form, because it's not, he has the same guys. He's comfortable, I guess I would say. So I think we're gonna get a good Josh at the end of the day. It's just gonna be on his guys to make plays because they know that he's gonna make plays. So I'm excited to see how he goes out and attacks everybody, because besides Jalen Ramsey, the rest of the I can't name a corner or a safety on that team right now. So I'm going out and I'm just attacking, because you're gonna have one-on-ones all over the field. So if he's not feeling confident to throw Jalen's way, he's gonna go somewhere else with it.
I want to transition here, right? And this is, we're gonna have a little bit of fun today. I said tomorrow we're gonna go through a lot of numbers. Definitely gonna go through the minutia of the game, but today we're gonna have a little bit of fun. And I want everybody in the comments to participate, because we're going to talk about some breakout players, right? We're going to play a little narrative game. Come Friday, right? Friday morning. Matt, I want to ask you, offensively, who is the player we're looking at saying this is the guy right here, y'all? This guy did it.
Well, the first person that comes to mind is going to be Gabe, not because Steph isn't competent, but you can, if you just look at the writing on the wall, it's going to be Jalen and Steph one-on-one all game, right? So he may not get the targets or may not be able to make as many plays. Even saying that though, it's not like Diggs goes against anybody, and I feel like he cannot go off against anybody. It doesn't really matter who's covering him to me, but Gabe is the clear first choice, because like I just said, I can't name another corner or safety. So him getting another one-on-one is just going to be a repeat of the playoff game.
Seeing a lot of Gabe in the comments. Rad, who was that player for you?
For me, if I can cheese it as two, it's going to be, I think it's Singletary for sure. I think Singletary going to have a big impact on this game, far as the amount of touches he's going to see. Because I think the Rams is definitely going to try to take the deep field away, try to take the Diggs and Gabe Davis deep plays away. I think Singletary running and out the backfield, and I think whoever's in that slot, the combination of McKenzie or Crowder. I think McKenzie or Crowder, whoever's in the game, I think McKenzie or Crowder in that game, I think they're going to be able to get early. They're going to get the 5-6 yards. That's going to be open all game. I think them 5-6 yards, ins and outs, and comeback routes. I think in the middle of the field, those going to be open. If Josh willing to take those dinking dimes us down the field, I think, especially early on, I think the defense is going to be, vanilla, just, not don't want to get beat deep, make tackles, short tackles. What a Wagner, what a Ramsey, what a Donald. You think you're going to be a good tackling team. So I think those underneath passes, McKenzie's and the Singletaries out the backfield are going to have a big impact on this game. And Josh Legs.
I was about to get to that. I think that the Rams will scheme up some defensive things. They're going to scheme up some pressure on Josh. They're going to try to do some things. But I think this is a Josh Allen game, y'all. I think the lights are on. It's Thursday. Everybody's going to be watching. And I think Josh Allen's going to have close to 300, maybe 400 yards passing. He's going to have about – and I know, listen, we're going to get to the numbers. We're going to get to the numbers tomorrow. But I think he's going to have a great day rushing, getting out of the pocket, scrambling. He's going to be – we're going to see a lot of this come Thursday. Josh Allen's going to be running for the first down. Bobby Wagner is going to be right behind him. And then I think somebody's on a telecast. They're going to say, man, a couple years ago, Bobby Wagner would have made that play. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it's going to be a lot of that. I honestly think this is setting up as a Josh Allen take the torch
narrative game.
This is my season. This is my MVP season. This is what it's going to take. I'm about to show you who's really the best quarterback in the league. I feel that way personally. But let's shift because defensively, Matt, who do you have defensively? I need everybody in the comments to let me know, what is the player we're saying? Is this a Von Miller revenge game, or is one of the rookies going to step up? Matt, who is that person that you're saying this is our guy to come Thursday? He's going to be the breakout player we're going to be talking about.
I like it. I like Ed Oliver, man. Ed Oliver, you know, it's his first game. He's going, his counterpart on the other team is the guy that you want to emulate, right? And I feel like he's such a competitor that he's going to be like, all right, well, he's not going to be the only D tackle they're talking about today. And I'm in my contract year. This is where I'm about to take the torch and roll with it for the year.
Facts. Okay.
This whole time I've been just saying, I think Rousseau's going to lead our team in sacks. If I think if he start off with won this game, I think, you know, his athleticism, his freakiness, his measurables, you know, his measurables.
That's wild.
His measurables. I could pause that too. But I think Rousseau. Yeah, I think Rousseau.
Yeah, Rag got it.
He's going off the rails. I think Rousseau's I think he gonna have a game. I think they're gonna focus on Von Miller and the Ed Olivers of the world. Von Miller and Ed Oliver, I think, open up for Rousseau to get the one-on-ones. He's got to win his matchup. He's got to beat the right tackles. And he got to get in. He got to get home.
I'm seeing Greg Rousseau. I'm seeing Poyer, Ed Oliver. Shout out to Shaq Lawson, a.k.a. Sack Lawson. Shaq is definitely going to have a moment in this game. But for me, I'm going to be completely honest. For me, you know what? I honestly believe this is crazy to say because I know how I feel about him. I think Tremaine Edmonds is going to have a good game. I think we're going to look up and see he's going to have 12 tackles, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Like, yes, I think he's going to have a couple pass deflections. I do see a big play. Because the Rams do like to do a lot of crossing routes. They like to throw to Cooper Kupp the ball, sometimes on outside, but definitely in the middle of the field. If you remember, even in the Super Bowl game, in the middle of the field, Cooper Kupp was killing. I think that they're going to try to do that. But I honestly believe that Tremaine Edmonds, his athleticism, right, is going to allow him to be nimble enough to kind of get his hand on one of those balls, or maybe it's a tip pass, you know, from an Ed Oliver or if Jordan Phillips, you know what I'm saying? He can get the ball in the air. He's going to get an interception. I honestly believe that in my heart of hearts. So I think we're going to look at him like, you know, Trey Edmonds had a really good game, right? He had a really, really, really good game.
Now, I do want to follow up on Poyer too. I just want to, you know, say that through this whole process, it's just a shout out to his character that, you know, that he's here because he could easily pull a Revis, and especially with the, you know, Jaquan Johnson playing pretty well behind him, he could be like, I don't have to be here, man, until I get paid. And he could leverage us how he is. For him being in the building all the time, and he's going to be there Thursday. He's going to show up. He's handling this whole scenario greatly, and I'm sure his teammates appreciate it as well as we do.
Absolutely.
I don't know if his wife do though. You know?
Yeah, we'll see. but consummate pro, consummate professional. You know
she is always on Twitter, always talking about she's so excited to see him play. So she's going to support no matter what. I mean, at the end of the day.
Nah, for sure. And y'all know that's and this is no offense to the women out there, but that's what women do. But let's do this.
Buffalo mentality type thing though. He's coming to work. My bad. I'm not trying to go too long with it, but
no, you good. You're right. No. Yeah. Listen. If this was some other team, this would be a problem. Shout out to Josh Allen. You know what I'm saying? If we starting to see the contracts of the other quarterbacks, we got to bargain. We got to sell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got to sell.
Best contract in football.
So shout out to Brandon Bean for providing this culture that we do take care of guys, but sometimes, you know what I'm saying? It's still a business. You know, we got to do what we got to do. So what I wanted to shift to, we kind of talked about, we talked about the offense, talked about the defense in depth. Tomorrow we're going to get, you know, into minutia. Please be here 6:30 tomorrow with one of our ops from the Rams. Shout out to him. But let's get into scores. I mean, obviously, once you give your score, you can give a little rendition, a little synopsis of how you feel a game is going to go. But let's get a quick score prediction. You know what I mean? And I want to see everybody's scores in the chat. And Matt is going to talk after about what those scores really mean when we put it all together. All right, but I'm gonna go to Matt first. Matt, give me your score and how you feel the game is going to go.
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, we're gonna put up points on every team, no matter how good their defense is, no matter what. So I'm expecting us to score high points this whole season. So I'm gonna go with us winning 34 to. I'm gonna go 15. It's gonna be a weird score like that because our defense is still gonna be good at. I don't think it's gonna be quite a shootout because our defense is still the number one defense coming in, adding a Von Miller, adding guys on defensive line. So
I respect it. I respect it, man. I respect it.
They low key just won the Super Bowl. I just want to throw that out there.
They did. But you know what?
And at home,
we're coming out. We got something to prove. Home games in LA are not home games anywhere else. I don't care.
It's just all celebrities. It's definitely gonna be celebrities.
It is. We're gonna have half of the stadium. You know what I'm saying? So it's not gonna be what you think at home. But that's I'm going with 15 in the comments. I know it's a weird score, but that's what I'm rocking with.
Shout out to Millie in the comments. Millie not on the show because he had a terrible fantasy draft. But Rad, what's score? What's your score predictions?
I think Bills win. I think it's gonna be a good game. I'm respecting the Rams more than Matt is right now. I think they're a top 3 team in the NFL. I think offense and defense they're really good. I think Matthew Stafford is not as hurt as people been pulling on. They added Allen Robinson, who's a great number 2 receiver. Akers and Henderson are back healthy, they say, so they got their running game back. So I got a close. I got 28-27 Bills. I think we win.
Oh my God!
I think we win it with a field goal. And we take that. But I think it's close. I don't think I think it's a close game. I think it's a great opening game. I think it's gonna be everything the NFL wanted to be. We're gonna be in there the whole way. We're gonna win in the fourth quarter. 28-27 Bills.
Listen, I would give my score prediction, but I'm gonna leave a cliffhanger. I want everybody to be on the show tomorrow at 6:30. I will give my score prediction then. Little cliffhanger. But I did want to ask before we got the show. I wanted to ask this question because Rad talked about Matt Stafford, and obviously the Rams, they're a good team, right? And I talked about the fantasy draft. So let me just say this. E said 38-24. Shout out to Millie. He had a terrible fantasy draft. 38-31. Shout out to my guy Moan. We about to have our draft at 7:00. Shout out to BGH 28-14. But I wanted to say this because I'm sure many of us have players from other teams, right? We're gonna have players from other teams, and I got Matt Stafford in another league. I think I got Cam Akers in one league.
I got Akers.
I wanted to ask this question out there just to see what's the policy for rooting. Like when you got I don't know. Y'all know how it is. It's somebody we playing against that person. You got him on your fantasy team. What's the policy? Are we rooting for the Bills to score a lot of points so your player can keep scoring too and it won't be that bad? Or is it a situation saying, listen, it gotta be what it gotta be, y'all? Like, you know what I'm saying? Rad. How do we deal with that?
Well, I learned my lesson, right? I think I was year 2 in fantasy. And I set Edelman. This was back when Edelman was Edelman. You know what I mean? Edelman was Edelman. Tom Brady, and I set him just because they was playing the Bills. I'm like, I ain't playing Edelman. And he went off crazy. He went off, probably scored 2 touchdowns, 10 catches, 110 yards, whatever. And I would never do that again. So I'm rooting for points. I'm rooting for shootouts. A win is a win. And if our defense shut you out, good as hey. But I don't care about defense shutout and nobody. I want wins. I would like points, fantasy. Hey, I'm a fantasy player. It is what it is.
Yeah, so me, I'm gonna follow that too because the Bills don't pay my bills. Fantasy doesn't pay my bills either. But I want exactly. I want to win fantasy, so I'm not necessarily rooting for the player to go hard. Have an average day. I'll be happy with that. But I'm definitely not sitting players against the Bills. I'll sit a defense against the Bills. But I'm not sitting players against the Bills. But I'm not avid. I'm not going crazy rooting for them. Like I want them to go off against the Bills. But It's a
If they score, it got to be
it's
your
a- garbage time. If we're up a lot, go ahead, open the floodgates, have a day.
I'm that type of person. I'm a late touchdown person. Like if get a late touchdown, pad the stats. I'm like that type. We can deal with that. But I mean, listen, if the team has to score, if the Rams have to score, just let it be the player that I have. That's all I ask for. If they absolutely have to score. But we're about to get off the show. Shout out to Mama Costa. She asked, this is actually a good question. So I'm gonna ask the guys, and I want everybody's opinion on it. Who is the better duo? Is it Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp? We know Cooper Kupp was the best receiver last year in football. Literally, he was. Matt Stafford obviously wasn't.
He had the best season in NFL history.
Stephon Diggs is a dog. We believe obviously Josh Allen is better than Matt Stafford significantly. So I'm gonna ask you, Matt, first. Who do you think is the better duo?
I'm gonna go Allen and Diggs because of Allen's intangibles and the many different ways he can win a football game. I'm gonna go with Allen for sure. I'm not giving Diggs the nod over Kupp. They're even in my eyes. Diggs had a better season before. Kupp obviously had that historic season last year, but Allen over Stafford every day of the week.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta go with our guys, Allen, Diggs. I think Diggs is closer to Kupp than Stafford is to Allen. I guess I would say that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the nod there. And I think this is the year where they both gonna be all pros. Allen and Diggs is gonna get back right. Last year was the 2 years ago was great. This year, last year was kind of like you still want it more. I think it get back right this year. I think it get back right.
Sure.
Listen, we giving out sleepers tomorrow. If you do indulge in certain apps that allow you to put certain things out there, we will give you some things on that as well. Me and my guy Matt, we ready. Listen, so just be on the show tomorrow. We're gonna go through all of those things to get you ready for Thursday. We're excited. Please listen tomorrow 6:30 promptly. We got an op. I need everybody from the Mafia, all the Overdue Bills fans to be, Buffalo fan base fans to be here in the chat so we can spam them, man, so we can let them know really what time it is. So 6:30 tomorrow, we got one of those ops. We interviewing him. We're gonna get down to nitty gritty of the game. Shout out to him. It's all in love. It's all in fun. But shout out to Buffalo fan base. Shout out to overduebillspod.com. Get your merch. And Matt, we see a lot of scores in the chat. Please let them know what the contest we got going on.
Yeah, so save those scores because we're gonna put up a post. You know how if you followed along the last couple seasons, we put up a post every week doing the contest. I'm gonna explain to you right now our score prediction contest sponsored by Buffalo Wing Kings. We're gonna have a predict the score. You're gonna predict the score for the game on Thursday night against the Los Angeles Rams, and as a tiebreaker, we're going to do the total passing yards by Josh Allen will be our tiebreaker this week. So you're gonna we'll put out the rules of the contest, and the winner will get a $30 gift card brought to you by the good people at Buffalo Wing Kings. It's going to be our first of every week this year. So definitely get in before Thursday. The contest is going to close at 7:45, or we'll close it at 8:00 on Thursday because we got probably 8:30 kickoff. It'll end up being. So we'll close it at 8:00 on Thursday. And good luck to everybody, and definitely get in.
Absolutely, man. The contest was crazy last year, man. A lot of people got a lot of good stuff, man. It's one of those things. So please enter into the contest. The more people, the better it is. And y'all know how we end every show with a little bit of that. Hey, 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 hey.
Hey.